Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Veakt and I welcome you to a new episode of Topic of the Week. And in this week's episode, I'm gonna talk about how Gamergate has changed the video game industry since last year, the rants from mainstream media, and the pros and cons of Gamergate and the Anti-GamerGate movement as a whole. But first, let's have a little flashback over some of the Gamergate events that has taken place in the past in media. And before I do that, I just want to mention that I chatted with Marcedes Carrera on Twitter earlier today, so I'm going to talk about that as well. So with that said, let's rock!
Gamergate. You might have heard that term. It's the story that has produced threats of mass shootings.
Violent depictions of women being beaten, raped, and run over by cars. It's not the movies, it's video games.
To you, what does it mean? What does Gamergate mean?
To me, Gamergate will always be glorified revenge porn by my angry ex.
And Gamergate has been a very distressing and painful thing to watch.
I tweeted a joke just very mildly making fun of some Gamergaters. And this escalated to the point that my husband and I were sent extremely specific, actionable death threats to the point that we had to get the police involved and leave our home.
By looking at the violent threats faced by a feminist critic for pointing out sexism in video games. Last week, Anita Sarkeesian was forced to cancel a planned lecture in Utah after threats of a shooting massacre.
All of my social media accounts were flooded with misogynist hate, including threats of violence, death, and rape. So this was Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Formspring, Kickstarter, my Kickstarter campaign, Flickr, my website.
Gamergate attracts the kind of person that is Box Day. You know, there's a reason that Box Day wants to be a part of Gamergate. There's a reason Stormfront wants to be a part of Gamergate. Why the neo-reactionary movement wants to be a part of Gamergate. You know, why Breitbart wants to have Gamergaters reading their site. It's because they see it as a very fertile breeding ground.
These days, it could take up to 8 people to make a single piece of armor. Oh! How many Gamergaters does it take to make a single piece of armor? Oh, God, I don't know. 50. 1 to do the modeling, 1 to do the materials, and 40 to tweet that it's not your shield. Okay. Again, I cannot be blamed for what the puppet says.
Ethics! Ethics! Ethics!
Terrorists, terror organization, terrorist attacks, terrorism, terrorist network, terrorist attacks, terrorist group, terrorists, terrorists, instruments of terror, terror network, terror cells, terrorists, terrorizing terror and murder, terrorism, terrorists, terrorist tool of terror.
I bet that I caught your attention now, didn't I? Anyhow, this is how Gamergate has been portrayed by the mainstream media since Gamergate started back in August last year. Because Gamergate has been labeled as a hate group, a terrorist group, but also as a group that hates women. But is this really a fair label of Gamergate? To put them in the same box as the KKK, for example? I mean, from all the pictures and footage that I have seen from Gigi in DC, for example, Gamergate consists of a lot of different kinds of people. Male, female, white, black, Asian, Latin, homosexuals, you name it. I mean, does these people really look like KKK or neo-Nazis to you? Well, I think it's rather safe to say that the Gigi in DC meetup was not a KKK clans meeting or a neo-Nazi party for that matter. At least that's the expression that I felt when I watched some videos and photos from the event. But onward we go to the blaming and finger-pointing game, because Gamergate has been blamed for a lot of things since last summer, and I'm talking about everything from death threats, doxing to swatting. But how much of this has been proven, and how many have been convicted for these crimes since last summer? Well, let's see what I can find. Well, there's quite a lot of articles on the subject about, Gamergate, harassment, death threats and all that, but as far as I know, no one has ever been convicted, for a crime, you know, such as the one where Brian Wu offered $11,000 for harassment conviction. I mean, this article was published back in November last year, so I mean, it's quite a long time since this article, you know, got published. And even though it's really old, I can't say that I have seen any, like, well, anyone getting convicted for a crime under the tag of Gamergate. But Brian Wu was pretty angry about the whole thing, so she offered $11,000. And I can't say that I have heard a word about it since then. And then you got like articles such as this one, for example, a former FBI agent on why it's so hard to prosecute Gamergate trolls. And the article pretty much states that it's really hard to like pin down a certain crime to a certain person, because Gamergate is it's a hashtag, for God's sakes. I mean, anyone with internet can join it pretty much. So I mean, it's not like a membership or a club membership, sorry, that kind of thing. So it's really hard to get someone convicted under the name of Gamergate, if you get what I mean. And that's basically, well, a big problem when it comes to all these claims. I mean, I have heard so many like, oh, it's death threats from Gamergate, it's harassment from Gamergate, but why hasn't anyone been, you know, prosecuted or convicted for it? And then you got like this one. This is well, it's a rather new article actually. It's published in March this year. This Democratic Congresswoman wants the FBI to take on Gamergate, so it's like a follow-up on the previous article, but same thing here. No one has been convicted whatsoever, and that just leaves me to the conclusion that no one has been convicted, because I have read maybe 20-30 articles about Gamergate death threats and harassment and all that. So I think it's rather funny that mainstream media and the anti-Gamergate side is like, okay, it's the Gamergate people that does all these things, but like I said earlier, anyone can join the Gamergate hashtag. So I mean, if you're a troll or a hater or whatever, you can just, you know, do some crazy shit and then just pin it down on Gamergate. And this was everything that I had to say on this topic, so I'm just gonna move on to the next part of the video. And the next part would have everything to do with the achievements of Gamergate, because they have achieved quite a lot since August last year. And if you have followed the conflict/war, then you know that the Anti-GamerGate side has stated otherwise. In short, that Gamergate hasn't achieved anything at all. But it's a bloody lie, because just take a look at this list. I mean, it's from the very start in August last year, and it goes on and on and on to March of this year. I don't even know if this is like the complete list of, you know, achievements of Gamergate, but I think it's pretty much the whole shebang, so to speak. But Gamergate has done everything from charity work to get games news sites to update their ethics policies. We didn't even have ethics policies, by the way, from the very start. We launched it like last week, because to be, you know, honest with you guys, there was like very little sources for inspiration to even write the ethics policy or policies, but I managed to do so with some help from, well, people from our team and of course the gaming community. Anyhow, Gamergate has also helped to get Hatred restored on Steam, and I mean, there's so many things. So I mean, I think it's safe to say that not everything that Gamergate has done has been bad. And you can actually check out the list for yourself when you get the time for it. So I'm just gonna go on to the next part now, which will be the Anti-GamerGate side of things. And to be honest with you guys, it was really hard to find the Anti-GamerGate achievements list, because I searched everywhere. I used Google, I used Yahoo, I used GoGoDuck, but I couldn't even find like an article or anything like that that I could get like a overview for the achievements that Anti-GamerGate side has done. So I actually have to ask you guys for help, because it wouldn't be fair not to try to at least find a list over the achievements that the Anti-GamerGate side has done. But to this, time or present, I have no idea what they have done that's, for the good of the video game industry. So I just have to leave it at that, because it doesn't matter if I search for Anti-GamerGate with the hashtag or whatever, I don't find anything at all. So I leave it to you guys. I'm sorry, but I can't find anything at this time. So I'm just gonna say that it's a hard task indeed. But as soon as I search for anything that includes GamerGate in the search, it's just gonna show GamerGate related things. So there's no Anti-GamerGate list whatsoever, so I'm just gonna move on to the next part of the video. And now I'm going to give my thoughts on the Marcedes Carrera versus Chris Cluwe debate on David Pakman's show, because I had the great pleasure to chat with Miss Carrera for quite some time on Twitter just recently. We talked about Chris Cluwe's disrespectful behavior on David Pakman's show, but we also talked about Cluwe's racist slurs against Miss Carrera on Twitter. And I just happen to have Cluwe's racist tweet right here. And this will be the actual tweet by Chris Cluwe. And he tweeted out a nacho shield to Marcedes Carrera. And Marcedes Carrera answered or tweeted back, "Kind of strange that a male feminist treats a woman of color with such a lack of respect, isn't it?" And I have to say that the picture speaks for itself. And once again, Chris Cluwe has made an jackass out of himself. And so my picture of Chris Cluwe has changed quite a lot since the first time I saw him on the Ellen show. Because then he looked and sounded pretty alright, but there you have it. But keep in mind that Cluwe is supposed to be like a white knight / feminist / hero, and still he spits out racist slurs like this against women of color. So, I mean, he's like a fucking hypocrite. So it's pretty fucked up indeed. Anyhow, I'm not going to show like the whole chat conversation that I had with Miss Carrera here in this video, but I'm going to add a link to the article that I wrote about this whole incident in the video description box. However, I took the time to edit out some of the footage from the Marcedes Carrera versus Chris Cluwe debate. So, you're gonna see for yourself what a jackass Chris Cluwe was. So, enjoy!
Between Zoquin, a developer, and journalist. And that's why gamers started to really get angry about this. This troll had a conflict with this troll board on the 8chan board, and it is a hashtag, and that's the truth of it. And you can laugh and in an attempt to try to dismiss my answers to you. But quite frankly, it just makes you look foolish, not me.
And this was everything that I had to say on this subject, so I hope that you boys and girls enjoyed the video, as it took me quite a while to make, as you might imagine. And just like always, feel free to comment, drop a like and subscribe to our channel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm lending your ears and eyes to Mr. Sargon of Akkad, as he has made some really good points on why GamerGate has changed the industry for the better since last year. So this is Viact signing out. Bye bye.
The Escapist and Destructoid are just two of many. I mean, Polygon, Kotaku, IGN, PC Gamer. I can't really think of a site that hasn't, since the inception of GamerGate, updated their ethics policies.
Ethics policies in the industry, I'm hearing you saying, has been more or less taken care of.
Yeah, I think that GamerGate has been successful in achieving its objectives. Well, there needs to be an industry watchdog. I think the main impetus of GamerGate has passed, but that's because it's won its battle.
Thank you very much for watching our video, boys and girls. We love you all. And don't forget to click the subscribe button. And if you want to show some support for our videos, then show us some love on Patreon. And don't forget to check out some of our other videos as well. For example, video 1 is about the crazy SUW troll. Video 2, I talk about the Calgary Expo scandal. And in video 3, I talk about the death threats against American McGee. So with that said, take care people. Bye bye.